Time now for Sports and the Law, presented by Moskowitz LLP, a tax law firm. Steve Moskowitz in the house to talk about it all. Our first story is involving Avaya and Levi's Stadium. Basically, Avaya has signed a 10-year contract for a luxury suite at Levi's Stadium that amounts to over $300,000 annually in costs. They filed for bankruptcy. They're saying basically no one wants to go to the game, right, because the 49ers are not good, and it's a burden for them as they're trying to obviously get out of trouble financially. Do they have a case?
They have a good case, because if they weren't in bankruptcy, how the team is doing doesn't matter because they have a contract. But in bankruptcy, basically saying, look, Judge, we don't have enough money to go around, so the creditors aren't going to be paid in full. We're trying to get rid of certain assets. No one would buy this. And if you don't let us out of this contract, this is a waste of our money that could be better used to continue the business than the other creditors. So they have a good shot at getting out of it.
Now, when they signed this deal, though, I'd imagine it had nothing to do in writing about how good the 49ers were going to be. It wasn't like, as long as we're winning and we're a playoff team and people want to come to our games, you're going to buy our suite.
Oh, sure. If the 49ers lost every game, if LA wasn't around and they lost every game, then what would happen is they'd still be stuck with it. It's the bankruptcy that's letting them out of it. Because you can get out of all kinds of debts, your lease and contracts. The airlines used it to get out of paying their pensions.
Mm-hmm. Do the Niners have a case at all to fight this?
They can always fight it, but they're going to lose.
Okay. All right. So our next case is involving two former Purdue football players. They, on Thursday, basically hit the NCAA in the Big Ten Conference with a proposed class action lawsuit, alleging the organizations didn't tell them about the risk of repeated head trauma from which they now suffer. Now, they played back in the late 1990s,
yes,
when we didn't know a lot about traumatic brain disease and CTE and the concussions. The NFL wasn't talking about it, looking to protect. So do they have a case against the NCAA?
This is going to be determined in discovery, where we find out just how much did the NCAA know. Now, they take a look back at a 1920s case of boxing and concussions, but boxing is a totally different sport. There's no helmets, and the idea is to cause injury. Here, what they do now, probably it's going to be a settlement, because remember, there was another settlement for $75 million, and most of these suits wind up in that. But if it does go to trial, it's going to be discovery. What did the NCAA know? If they didn't know, they're off clear. But if it was like the pros where they knew and they hit it, that's when they get hit for the big bucks. Probably be a settlement, though. And
the players both said they didn't suffer any head trauma in high school, but you can't prove that. They could have suffered.
Oh, absolutely, they could have. And a lot of these things you don't know until autopsy is performed.
Right. It's repeated head trauma throughout their career. All right, Steve Moskowitz, thanks for the time.
Always a pleasure.
Good insight.